we're going to see what it takes to take an LS harness and turn it from this to this. One man's trash is another man's treasure. So over here, we made a trip to the junkyard in Fort Worth and got a couple of harnesses. Most guys would say, what a bunch of junk, why would I buy that? But I bought 2 harnesses as a computer and a bunch of ancillary garbage for $100 bucks. $100, I'll take these, modify them, throw them into cars. One will go into this old beauty, one's going into the C10 swap. $100, all good to go. First thing we're going to do is just kind of get it stripped down and take off all of what we don't need. And we're not going to go step by step, but I'll kind of go through a little bit of stuff. Pull apart the ECM connections, and we're going to take out everything that we don't use. So I usually do them one at a time. So I'll do the red connector first. Spreadsheet I have right here, and everything in yellow is stuff that you don't need. EGR, secondary AC, AC request signal. I'm not going to use any of that stuff. The stuff in white is stuff that you use and it stays. The stuff in blue you have to wire up, like fuel pump relay, engine speed, tach output. That'll go to the tachometer, things of that sort. So there we go. We'll get it all tore out and I'll show you what kind of a pile of stuff we have left. Got everything out of the red connector I'm not going to use. So I'll kind of just peel those to the side, and then I'll go to the blue connector. Here's the second pile of trash about that size I pulled out of that harness. Not that bag, but everything else. And then here's what you'll kind of have left over. A bunch of different harness pieces and stuff. Hang on to them if you do a little bit of LS stuff. They'll come in real handy. PCM pins with wires on them. And just the PCM pins alone are like $6 a piece if you buy them in small quantities. So hang on to them. One man's trash, another man's treasure. Now that you stripped out everything you don't need, we'll go with what you have to wire into. First off, on the blue connector, pin 19 is ignition power supply. That's a pink wire. Pin 20 is an orange wire, and that is battery supply. Pin 33 is a TCC brake switch. That is constant power to the computer, and when you hit the brakes, it kills power. So make sure you wire that right or it won't work. Next in, number 57, that's an orange wire. That's another battery supply, constant battery. 58 is a dark green wire. That's your OBD2 port. That's where you actually communicate to the ECM. Pin 71, you have to add a pin for tow haul mode if you're going to do that. You have to program it. I don't usually use that. Pin 75 is a pink wire. That's ignition supply. And that does it for the blue connector. Now on to the red connector. Pin 9 is a dark green with a white stripe. That's the fuel pump relay control. That is ground only, so it grounds the relay to control it, to control the fuel pump. Pin 10 is a white wire. That's your engine speed or tach output signal. That'll go to your tachometer. Now we'll head down to pin 46. That's a brown wire with a white stripe. That's your malfunction indicator lamp, the check engine light. This is a ground signal from the ECM. So you run power to the light, and then the ECM will ground and complete the circuit and turn the light on. Next is pin 50. It's a dark green with a white stripe. That's your vehicle speed sensor output. That goes to your speedometer. And that does it. If your head's starting to hurt, that means you're almost there. You have to run a few power wires. Ignition power to the injectors, as well as to the ignition coils, needs to be run. All those wires are pink. All right, everything is stripped out that I need to get stripped out. After about 2 hours playing, we've got the computer ignition wire. There's 3 ignition wires. Let's see. Another PCM ignition. PCM battery. and another PCM ignition. And this will lay out very much like a factory type ECM, or factory type harness. That's my goal on this one because of the way it's going to be placed. We'll go over here. Computer I'm going to mount right in this area here. I'll mount an extra fuse panel with relays in it right there that'll control fuel pump and all the power, and it'll control the fans. Yeah, that's about it. Factory stuff will get cleaned up and be ready to start. So I'm hoping by end of next week. We'll see. Super basic laid out. And then just leave it like that, because that's good, right? More gooder. Alright, C10 update. It is, let's see, it is April something or other. First week in April. Let me think. It's Thursday, so that would be the 5th. Yeah, 5th of April. So, got everything all hooked up. I used these cheap fuse panels to wire everything, and it kind of looks like a mess, but once you get it all tidied up, it's good. So we've got all of our powers, all of our grounds, all of our triggers run. I have to bring up through here. I'll bring the fuel pump wiring up through here and along this branch, and that'll power the fuel pump. Then here's our wires we have to run inside the cab. TCC brake, that's torque converter clutch brake. So when you hit the brake, it disengages the torque converter. VSS, vehicle speed sensor, bring that inside there. So that will run the speedometer. Let's see here. We got the malfunction indicator lamp or check engine light, the tach, and we should have one that says, there we go, OBD2. And that's for your OBD2 connector. That's the communication. Then, you know you're getting old when you wrap up some wiring like this and you set this on here to label it, and then you forget to label it. So, I don't remember. So that's good. Then, over here we got fan 1, fan 2. Kind of like thing 1 and thing 2. So we're going to be Dr. Seussing it up. And that triggers our electro digital fans here. This I put on years and years ago. This fan setup, it's just a Catfish Camaro setup. They used them on a Corvette, same fan. I've already got the relays, and I put resettable circuit breakers right there. So those are all there. I'm just going to reuse all of that because it worked, and it worked great. Other than that, it's just route the harness in there. It's already set up. It may look like a mess. Factory stuff we're going to clean up. All these goods here, that's charging and everything else. And this terminated down here towards the end, who knows? But that side, there wasn't nothing in it. So that's wonderful. And then over here, this is starter. And then I believe he was probably having some issues with stuff, but that powers everything right there. That is the fusible link, and I'm not going to run it to the starter. I'm actually going to branch it out over here to the battery. Got the intake manifold sitting in the battery box for right now. But yeah, we're going to get this all done, and I tell you, it's close enough that this may fire up today. We'll see. That's a little hopeful, but we'll see. Because I still don't have sparkulators or coils on. Alright, if you're doing an engine swap and you're going to something quite a bit more modern, you got fuel injection, you got all the different accessories, electrical fans, all that stuff, you got to upgrade some stuff. If you don't, you're in a world of hurt. So I'm going to walk through a few of the things that I usually upgrade, as well as some of the things I try to eliminate. And the older the car, usually the worse it is. Take a good look at your electrical system when you're in there, because if you look at this, this is what I just kind of peeled everything off, and you look at how many times this loops back and forth, and that's not good. That is not good. This stuff is old and crusty. There's some spots on here that have been soldered together. That is pretty nasty right there. That's going to cause you problems. Get rid of all this stuff. We had 3 wires connected directly to the alternator for some reason that were running just the factory system in here. So get rid of all that, upgrade as much as you can, and keep the load off of this system. This thing probably had a 60 amp alternator. That's all it ran. The max factory alternator on most of them was 63 amps. This is a 140 amp alternator. That's over double. It's going to fry everything if you have problems. So keep all the load off of there, put it on something else. It's all triggered off of the ignition, but that's it. There's your tip of the day. So here's what we got. This is literally what I peeled out. So let's start from here. We got 3 wires that were hooked to the alternator hot. Then you go down here and, okay, you had some stuff looped around and all that, and then you got this piece that's soldered in together, and then that goes over to the battery junction. Now the battery junction comes back to here and goes into the vehicle. Now we've got this. This is the kind of stuff that, oh buddy, this is scary. You got those all twisted together, and then you got electrical tape. And that stuff, the electrical tape was melted, which means that's getting hot. So this is the kind of stuff when you're doing swaps. Pay attention, go through it, fix it right. Always remember, keep the load from this new modern fuel-injected engine off of 50-year-old wiring. Don't do it. Don't wire into it. One more thing and I'll quit hating on it. So we come over here, we solder 2 wires into 2 wires, and then run them over to the alternator. Come on, man. Who did this? It's such a pretty truck. Why would you do that? There's the mess we pulled out. That's a lot of junk. This wire right here will literally go straight to the alternator. So that sucker will charge. We will get maximum voltage, no resistance. And then the only thing I run on this one, this big fat wire right here, ran to the HEI ignition. So it's hot when the power is on as well as cranking. So this wire right here I tie in, and that one triggers all those relays and feeds ignition power where I need it. That's all it does. So it takes the load totally off of the factory electrical system. That's a little nicer. Still got to tie it up, clean it up, but it's done and functional. All right, here we go. We're about to hook up to the OBD2 port, and I'll show you that if the scanner fires up, gets power, I know I've wired that portion right, and then we'll see if it communicates. Let's hope. Okay, before you hate on me, all this wiring here, except this one piece right here, was not me. So I'm gonna clean that up later before we finish it up and deliver it. But here we go, we're gonna plug in. Plugged in. Oh, look at that. That's good news. So, turn the key on. Let's auto detect. Oh. Look at that. It sees the computer, that's good. Now we'll read it. Let's pause right here. It's not just going to fire right up. I primed the fuel system, made some changes to the tune, eliminated the vats, and after that I went ahead and primed the oil system. Then it fired right up. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing. Stay tuned for a full build on this one.